Fried Vines, and we're back for another one of our weekly catch-ups. Just before we get started, must remember, housekeeping. If you're watching this and you think this sounds interesting, but I haven't got time to watch, you can always jump over to our podcast and listen on the go. The links will be in the description. And likewise, if you're listening and you think, I wonder how handsome these men are, I want to look at their faces, then you can look at the links in the podcast and jump on and watch the video on YouTube. Obviously, if you could subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And that's about it. Yeah, so let's get started. Joining me as always, I've got Rob from over in rainy Wiltshire. I remembered where it is now.
Oh, yes. Thank God.
and our guest this week is from Aston Villa's Villa and Proud, so their LGBTQ plus supporters group. It is Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm, very good.
How are you doing? It's very friend Joey Giovanni then.
Well, it's a question I think is important to ask nowadays. How are you? Because everyone's so kind of in their own weird little bubble at the moment. How often do you get to talk to people?
I think it's quite an important question at the moment for everyone.
It's still quite a big thing though, isn't it? Where people go, yeah, I'm all right. They don't actually give you any sort of details. It's, you're right. Yeah.
Inside they're like crying.
Tell me about your deep-rooted issues. No, let's save that for another podcast. So just going to get stuck straight in. Sam, if you could just kind of give us a bit of an intro about yourself, why you support Villa, and sort of the background of Villa and Proud.
Wow, why I support Villa? Well, yeah, my name's Sam. I've been an Aston Villa fan since I can remember. And I've had the privilege of my dad taking me to Villa Park for the last 25 plus years, and it's a massive passion of mine. And one thing I always say is that football is something that it's part of your DNA. Like we're going to talk about it a bit, but being a West Ham fan or being a Villa fan or a Southend fan, it's part of you. And Aston Villa is a massive part of my life, and it got to a point where I just thought the club don't have an LGBTQ plus group, and it was actually them that approached me, and I didn't even think two things about it. I just went straight into it, didn't even hesitate to think that is there going to be another person like me at Aston Villa, and just went into it, and it's flourishing at the moment.
So I'm not sensing much of a Brummy accent. Are you from the same part of Birmingham as Joe Lycett, or is this like because you've moved away and it's changed?
Yeah, I mean, so Joe Lycett, I'm not really sure if he's from Birmingham. I don't know I'm probably going to get pulled up on this, but I didn't know if he was raised in Black Country and then moved to Solihull. But yeah, I was born in Sutton Coldfield, and this is probably like the deep conversation, I guess, but I was adopted, and I was adopted down and lived in Warwickshire, so maybe a slightly less Brummy area, let's say, just out the outskirts of Birmingham. And I don't really have an accent. My accent's kind of a neutral accent, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah.
I can go with that, because I don't have a region-specific accent. I don't sound like my brother and sisters at all. I think, maybe it's part of developing a telephone voice when you're kind of getting into your career, and you just kind of settle into this is the one that works the best.
You can hear me very clearly now.
But so raised in the area, like you say, supported the team for 25 years. Your dad's taken you over there, and the club approached you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was. So I've done some stuff. I live down in Kent now, and I do stuff with a lot of work with Charlton Athletic, and just lucky enough, someone at the club got sort of wind of it and realised that I was a Villa fan. I obviously talk about being a Villa fan a lot, and they just approached myself, and from that point we sort of had a chat. Over 2 years ago, I actually got the date out the other day. It was something like the 23rd of July 2018, the first conversation we had with the club. And two and a bit years later, we're at this part now, reaching Rainbow Laces, and a really good milestone for the club and for the group.
And taking over probably a huge chunk of your life as well, I imagine.
Yeah, massive, but something that has massive wins, and some really good personal stories that you get from Villa fans, but not just Villa fans, football fans as well, actually just realising that the work that we get to do, the work that you get to do, and loads of great people up and down the country, is that we just get to make football that bit better. You know, I always think that if you can be a West Ham fan and you can give them an extra package and something that's going to make people feel, I don't know, just enjoy their pub, you know, enjoy going to the pub, enjoy that proper, I don't know, make sure that match day experience is at the best. That's the most possible.
Yeah, I totally get that. For me, it's bordering on exhausting sometimes, because it is like having a second job, but the rewards are so huge that it's just, I would never want to stop doing it. I know one day I will have to, but yeah, for now, it's definitely a huge passion. But look, let's jump on to talk about Villa a bit. So I always ask our guests what they think of the season so far. And I was looking, actually, I've got an omission first before I go into that. At the end of last season, when we played you guys in the last game, I was desperate to win that game because I really wanted you guys to go down. And it's nothing personal.
Okay, all right.
But looking at how you've started to invest. Put the results to one side. How you'd invested in the team, the kind of players you brought in. I looked at you guys and I thought, they don't deserve to be at the bottom there, but if they stay up, they're going to do really well next season because they're just going to build on what they've got. And looking at your start to the season, I was right to have that view. Right, so I mean, I can see there's quite a lot of 1-0s in there, but you know, obviously the massive one is the 7-2 against Liverpool. You've had a fantastic start to the season. How's that for a second season?
Well, just going back to the beginning of the part where you spoke about at the end of last season, you're so right. Like, to be fair, when it was coming up to the last 4 games, we were 7 points off safety, and we completely did it. Like, we went against everything that we possibly could, and yeah, I think you know, when you look at the team on paper, yeah, you shouldn't be in a position, but if you're not actually doing the results on the pitch, then you're going to find yourself in a sticky situation. But I just think that West Ham game, you know, I know we had a pre-match social at the end of last season. It was a fantastic pre-match social with you guys, and I just think that we started to have belief. You know, the game against Arsenal, we won 1-0 before, really started to change it around. But this season, did any Villa fan that think we were going to go and be in the position that we're in right now with a game in hand? No, of course not. I think it's been full credit to Dean Smith. There was obviously a few issues from last season where we recruited players, because the issue is, because when you were down in the EFL, the Championship, financial fair play was just such a tightrope, you know, and we had to loan a lot of players, so we didn't actually have them on contracts that we, you know, and so when we got promoted, we had to get players in. We had to change the squad. We got 12 new players in, and it just, you know, there was a few players that just didn't work. And obviously we had 3 massive injuries, and that was with Heaton out for the whole season. Wesley was out on the whole season. These are the first 10 games of the season, and then John McGinn was out for a good portion of that. And yeah, we managed to do it and get that point. It was a crazy end to that game. Honestly, that was ridiculous. So yeah.
So really, last year you were kind of like the victim of not circumstance, but you know, you were bedding in all those players, as you say, few injuries. It just didn't quite go your way, but it was definitely a good foundation. And just look at the results now, though. So you've beat Man United, you've beat Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, but then you've lost to Leeds, Southampton, and Brighton. So what do you think it is about?
Are they home games, Jim? I mean, because you've got really good away games. Record Emmy at the moment.
I was going to say, what is it you think it is? Do you think is it you know, the venue? Is it the type of team? Because beating the bigger teams and then, you know, those, it sounds like a very West Ham kind of problem, isn't it, Rob? Like beating like the bigger teams and the ones around you that you're supposed to beat, just completely messing up.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's also a Villa thing. I think we seem to do that, and you know, full credit to Leeds. Like when they came, they played really well, and they deserve to win that game. The Southampton game was crazy. You know, we were like 4-1 down at the time. I was actually playing football that day, so I was sort of looking at my phone and thinking, right, well, I'm not going to look at that again. And then got back to the car, and it's full time 4-3. Yeah, do you know what? A lot of people keep saying it's all down to fans not being there, and I do think at Villa Park, at the end of the day, they're professionals. Like, they're told what to go and do. Formation, they have to have some self-belief as well. They can't generate that sometimes if the fans aren't there, and some players exceed expectation because the fans aren't there. So I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, if I was to change it and say we beat Leeds, Southampton, and Brighton, but lost to Arsenal, Liverpool, and Leicester, for example, I would have been like, okay, it's normal. So I think it's just all worked out in a bit of a weird way.
I definitely think the fans have an impact, because I think for us, definitely, you know, we're quite often on our team's back, so I think it's probably a positive for West Ham.
Yeah.
But Rob, what are you making of Villa?
Do you know what? I think Villa are the team I've watched the most, apart from West Ham this season, if I'm honest. Mainly because of the signings they've brought in, like Ollie Watkins and stuff like that. I've wanted to see how, you know, they've progressed into the Premiership, and they're a really exciting team to watch. Very good, you know, on the ball. We've got two fantastic players in Barkley and Grealish who can hold onto that ball and take that ball forward as well. It's actually, you know, they've actually bought really. It's like he's had a plan, a game plan. He's got all the players that he's wanted. It's like he's written lists. He's like, this is who I want, and they've got him, and then that plan's just gone forward. And I think one of the best things they did, Villa, was got Mings from Bournemouth, because they were trying to play him as a left back, and you guys converted him into a centre back, and now he's an England centre back. Do you know what I mean? So that's a really shrewd bit of business. How much did you buy him for? Do you know?
It was something like 25 million.
Yeah. 25 million for an England defender is amazing. Was he 6'6" or something as well?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lamppost, isn't he?
He's a really decent guy. But like you were just saying there, do you know something? The difference this season is Dean Smith's side.
Yeah, I like
Dean Smith.
I like Dean Smith as well.
Yeah, I think with Dean Smith, I think sometimes there can be quite a bit of snobbery, where people start to think, oh, who's this? Yeah, okay. It kind of helped the fact that Dean Smith was playing fantastic football with the Bees, Brentford, but he's also a Villa fan, and you know, it was great when he came in, and obviously we beat a club record by winning 10 consecutive wins in the Championship with Dean, and actually we've broken so many records with Dean in there. But this season it's a Dean Smith system. You know, we're playing a high line. We're just putting teams under pressure, and you know, when you do have the likes of Jack Grealish, you know, and I think Ollie Watkins he's such a talent. Like, he does so much for the team.
I really wanted him. Really wanted him. You know, Jim, I said to you, how many times did I say that? Actually,
you wanted half of the Brentford team.
I did, yeah. Watkins is one, because I remember him at Exeter and stuff like that, and watching him, and I thought he was going to be a really good player then, and he's just proving how much of a good. He's got a really good strike of the ball as well. He does that kind of knuckle shot like how Cristiano Ronaldo does it. He's got that kind of clever way of having a long shot as well. So I think you'll just get better. I think it's quite exciting actually, because I don't think it would be that long. You'll be in the England squad.
I think it's quite exciting generally looking around the young English talent at the moment, but also how that talent is not just, you know, like for years it's been signed up and benched by the big teams. And it's like, I feel like there's the younger players nowadays have got a better eye on their career, and Declan Rice, for instance. I mean, Chelsea still may come for him, but he's going to get so much more game time, and he has. Like, the amount of game time he's had with West Ham, he's played every single minute of last season, right? Is he going to get those opportunities in a bigger club? And the same for a lot of the other English players playing for, I say smaller, but like not the top six or whatever. So it's good to see. It's good for the English game.
That's why a lot of them are going to like Dortmund now and stuff like that, or they're going to like German sides, because German they love to like get them youth players through, and they know this. They can see the talent in them, and they know if they play and they're going to get some money for them, and they do. And and that's a shame that we're not going to try and do that and bring players through more often. We seem to kind of let them go to Championship, then buy them back, which doesn't make sense sometimes. But we've been lucky to have Declan Rice come through, and we've had Johnson as well, and Jeremy. But obviously Jeremy's gone to Watford as well. So.
But Rice is probably the best player, right? Since when? Since I
don't know what top you mean. World class West Ham player, Joe Cole.
Yeah,
Carrick. It's been a long time.
It's got to be that Carrick. I know Rio and Lampard era maybe.
He's a much better player than Mark Noble, and I'm a big Mark Noble fan, but he is technically, physically, he has everything, and he seems to play really well. Grealish in the England squad as well, so that kind of really excites me as well. They seem to get along, which is a nice thing as well. That's the one thing I like about the England squad. They all get along. It's a very kind of,
And again, though, I think that helps the players' development as well, knowing that nowadays you don't have to play for one of the top teams to get picked for England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great thing about Southgate as well. If they change Southgate and brought another manager in, would that happen? Would it go back to the old ways of just bringing them same players in over and over again? It was so repetitive, it was painful.
I do think Southgate's had a bit of a. He's not been liked much by Aston Villa fans, to be fair.
Well, he had to take his time, didn't he, bringing some players in? I think one thing he does too much is he changes the teams. He wants to see everyone play in sometimes, and you don't get that kind of development within the team because it's always changing. Oh, look, this new player's coming. Sometimes I think we need to we need to set on the team, play like that a few times to see how we're going to work together, especially when we've got the Euros coming up as well. I'm very excited about that.
I think what's really important, though, is that, what the Championship's like as well, and how competitive it is. And to be fair, it was so enjoyable to watch in the Championship because it just didn't matter who you were as a club. It was just, you didn't know what the game was going to be like. And that's why I think, English football is so expansive, because actually throughout our whole ranks, that top four leagues, we have quality. Like you think down in League One, we've got like Salmon down there, Portsmouth, Charlton. It is ridiculous, and there's some decent players throughout the whole of that level. So
I can't say I'm in a rush to go back to the Championship, but I did really enjoy that last season of the Championship because. I don't know, maybe because the pressure was off, because we did have quality. We weren't winning every game either, so it wasn't a cakewalk, but it was still competitive. It was exciting.
Well, we really recovered best pay as well.
It also gives us resilience. Do you not think, as football fans, I think if anything, I've sort of gained an experience that I've never had. And Villa have never been demoted.
Yeah, you've never been relegated before, had you?
No, I've never been relegated from the Premier League, and it all happened, and we kind of thought, okay, cool, first season, we're going to go straight back up, and obviously we were down there. It was our third season that we got promoted on, and I think if anything, Villa fans, the same for any club that has been down and gone back up, of a decent size, the fans build a little bit of resilience and understanding. Actually, the Premier League is such a difficult league, and just finishing 14th is a remarkable achievement for anything.
Yeah, well, the Championship is very thick and fast, isn't it? Sometimes you can play 2 games to 3 games a week, depending on the cup. It's craziness sometimes, and then you're on a Tuesday night playing in Blackpool. It's crazy.
So, actually, that's an interesting point, Rob. It's not one I've actually thought of before, but after Project Restart. When the games were coming thick and fast like that kind of was what it was like, right? It was like a championship season. It was quite exciting and competitive.
That's why I liked it so much. It was thick and fast, wasn't it? It was, that's why there were so many. I think that's why there were so many muscle injuries as well to a lot of players as well, because they were literally training at home, and they go back a couple of weeks training, and then that's it. They're playing game. Professional football, you're going to get injured because it's so.
Especially with a team with a very kind of fixed, rigid first 11, because you like David Moyes, for example, does not want to change up a winning team, and he won't, right, unless he's forced. So as long as those players are willing to play each game, they're gonna get knackered. Strength in depth is not something we're blessed with.
No, and that's nothing to do with him, though, is it? That's the Ball's fault, I think. So, and I think we're kind of, luckily at the moment, we're doing okay, but I thought we were going to pay the price for that when Antonio was injured. But he seems to be holding in there, like on the edge of the cliff.
before we talk about Antonio, because I'm sure we'll come to him on the when we get to the match, but just quickly jump into the next topic, because I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I think we could go down this one for ages. So I'm just going to quickly switch it up a bit. What, Sam, view first from a Villa perspective, what are Villa fans' kind of view of West Ham as a club? Obviously, we're not at the top of your hate list. But, you know, how do you see the relationship between the two clubs?
I think it's quite neutral. I think, you know, something like, I know, you know, there might be, hopefully there's people listening from other parts of London to this podcast, but, you know, I think West Ham has always been sort of admired as a club that is quite level-headed. I think, you know, I think, and like I was saying about the Championship, I think, you know, the fans have a bit of resilience and understanding actually how privileged to be in the Premier League, you know, and I don't think I think it's quite a neutral respect. I mean, one thing I like about West Ham is obviously Robert Snodgrass, you know, and
Snoddy,
honestly, he's
what a guy.
Yeah, he really is. And
if you give Robert Snodgrass pace, he'd be the most frightening player in the world, wouldn't he, with that left foot?
I think he might live around here, because I bumped into him coming out my local Tesco.
Did you?
Yeah, and I was like, what? Just kind of did a double take at the doors.
Were you looking up or down?
Obviously.
Yeah, no, do you know something? I think with him is you'll notice that there's players at clubs, and when he was at Villa, you could just tell he was, you know, he was a player for the changing room as well. I mean, obviously when he was playing on the pitch, but he had something about him that was galvanising. You know, people would bounce off him, and honestly, his left foot was. I remember he scored a last-second goal against Sheffield United in the Championship, and honestly, it was at Bramall Lane, and it had just gone nuts, absolutely nuts, and he was just.
He's barely played this season. He's barely played, but when he has played, he's actually, you know, he's scored a goal. He's set up a goal, hasn't he?
He's one of those ones that he's loved at every club he goes to. Like every club he's been at, you speak to their fans and they like him. But he's also got this workhorse thing where he may not be the best player, and this is a very West Ham thing as well, may not be the best player, but sometimes he can come on and replace someone who is technically better, way more expensive, but he'll come on, put in a shift and actually make something happen. I think that's why people love him.
You're absolutely right, yeah.
I think it's that Scottish side as well to him. Like, you know, we have the Scottish Cafu, obviously Alan Hutton, and something about it, and this is what drives me insane. I know I'm going slightly off the topic, but it's what drives me crazy. Is you think, why is the Scottish national team never ever pushing themselves, always do a bit better than you think they should be? Because they have technically gifted players, but they just don't seem to do it as a team. And I just think their changing room must be an absolute piss up. It must be so fun to be in there. I would imagine with Gareth Southgate in the England squad, it's probably
brutal,
they turn down the music a bit.
They've qualified there, haven't they, Scotland?
Yeah, they went from penalties.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I watched the game. I was quite happy about it. It was quite a good, quite a cracking little game as well.
Yeah.
So Rob.
Yeah. Sorry.
Rob, the opposite question, I guess. What's as a West Ham fan, how do you feel about Villa?
I think we're quite kind of same little team. Obviously, I think, you know, Villa have kind of have got the back end of their board, and they've kind of pushed on a little bit more this season than we have, even though we're actually playing quite well as well. Yeah. But if we'd have got a few extra players like the Villa did, I think we'd have been kind of the same kind of level, like neck and neck a little bit. I think, you know, same as Villa fans, we want a team to try, work hard, and sometimes it doesn't matter about the result. It's about if you put that effort in. And also, we need the colours from their kits as well. so you must have liked them somewhere.
Well, I know the story behind that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it came through the Olympics, didn't it, at the time? Yeah, that's it, right. Just in case there was like some sort of different story down in East London that, you know, sort of developed. Yeah.
We broke in and we took a photo of it and we sketched it and we ran off.
Some Chinese whispers going on.
Yeah, it was. They were won, weren't they? It was a friendly match or something, and the winners took the kits.
Well, what it says here, it says the Irons permanently adopted the Claret and Blue home colours in the summer of 1866. Thames Ironworks right half. Charlie Doe received an Aston Villa kit from his father, William Dove, and that's why he got it. That's why we changed it. But he was his dad was a runner, a national.
That's it.
Sprinter.
Okay, that's a different one to the one I heard, which was something about winning the kits, and they took. Well, anyway, either way, we got it from you guys.
Yeah, there was a bet if he could out sprint one of the Villa players, and the bet was,
okay.
Well, what could we give you? And they were like, well, give us a Villa kit. And he gave them a Villa kit because he beat them in the sprint. And
I'm laughing about that. And that's why that's what Scunthorpe did to us. So it was like a circle of it.
Wow.
Do you know what the West Ham colours were before Claret and Blue?
Well, do you know what? I can't. I've got a book about it somewhere, but I can't remember.
I want to say
I remember.
Was it pink?
I remember seeing an article on this.
Was it pink?
Yeah, it was salmon pink and brown.
Pink. Yeah.
It was pretty grim.
I know why it's salmon pink.
So thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I know why it's salmon pink because obviously you know this, but it's Foreman's, isn't it? The
salmon.
Yeah. Place, yeah. Because it was actually, I'll tell you what, I went round there as a bit of a tour. I don't know how I got there, but went around a tour, and it was actually it's East London where smoked salmon came from, and you always think it's going to be like Scottish. Yeah, so it started in East London. Smoked salmon. It's like there's a pink building next to.
I'm embarrassed I'm being schooled here.
There's a massive company. It's the first ever smoking of salmon.
So I do know about Foreman's because they've got a thing on match days called Smoke and Bubble, where you can go up into their building and have pre-match drinks and smoked salmon and cream cheese bagels.
Yeah, they've got a pink building and everything, and they were the only company that actually stopped the Olympics from taking away their building. They were the only company.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't move because it was for them historic that in that building is where smoked salmon started. So
that is very cool.
There you go. Everyone's learned something today. I'm going to be putting this in the description. Get a bit of history in the podcast. Okay, right.
Or Jim's internet ended.
Shut up, mate. I'm back. So moving on to the match. I was going to say weekend's match, but it's not till Monday, is it? How do we think it's going to go? So, formations, players, score. Rob, do you want to get? I know you want to talk about Antonio, so why don't you get started?
I don't even know if Antonio's going to be back or not. I thought he was going to be back for the Sheffield United game, but I think they're just holding their cards close to their chest, and I think they're just going to go one day. He's on the bench. Well, they go, we're starting. But I think it's going to be a really tough game for West Ham, especially with Villa's away form as well. I was looking because I always put a bet on my dad, and I was looking at the away forms for teams, and I was like, God, Villa's away form's fantastic, and I was like, West Ham home, but we've been so structurally good this season. Like, we have been so well drilled, and we've got a game plan. And even when I think to myself, I don't know, we're going to do very well here, we seem to just do well. It's such a hard game to predict me. I actually think it might be a 2-2 draw almost, or something like that. We're going to play exactly the same. I think we're going to play exactly the same like we always do. Antonio will be on the bench. But I think we're going to play with the three at the back, the wing backs. I think Fornals, and I think the people we're really going to have to worry about is Grealish. I don't know if Barkley's injured. Is he?
Yeah, he pulled up against Brighton in the first 2 minutes. And, I don't know if he's injured right now. I haven't seen if he's going to be out for the game. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking for a lot of injury news recently. But you think about it, it's Thursday, you'd think you'd hear more by now, but it's a lot of teams are really playing it close to their chest this season. It's strange. Because you know by now.
It's kind of depressing hearing you say, well, I think we'll play the same way, because we always play the same way. It's that whole lack of plan B.
We say every week, don't we? We say, like, even though you're doing well, you don't want to change something, will it take us something bad happening or doing really bad for him to change something sometimes?
The only thing I would say this week, though, is that I think that system suits playing against Villa better than it did against Fulham and against Sheffield United, because these guys are going to come at us. So I think it's going to be a better kind of system for us to be, inviting them on and trying to break.
Yeah, I think we have to do some serious man marking.
But I think we'd be in a much better position with Antonio for sure. I mean, Sam, how do you see it going down?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Antonio was injured, but I had my head on that Antonio was going to play. I think it's going to be interesting. Again, this is probably something that you're familiar with, is from the way that we've been talking, is that it depends on what Villa team turns up, and honestly, when we played like Liverpool, did I ever think that we were going to win 7-2? And, we could have easily scored a few more goals. And it was just that game were completely different. And, again against Arsenal with 3-0. And I just think that, I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to pan out. We're going to stick with the same formation because it works. It just depends in that middle. Jack, he pulls, and the thing is, he does it to any team. He just pulls players out of positions. He put 2 players, 3 players marking him, trying to get the ball off him, and it allowed Matt Target on his left to just cut round. It allowed McGinn to have a bit more space, Douglas Luiz, etc. And it all depends on that, and it depends on how quickly we come out the traps. I think what has been quite different, this season compared to Project Restart. Project Restart seemed really slow. Watching the games, really slow. But now, the pace of the games is so much quicker. But we find out. I really couldn't. I'm someone that never ever gives out a prediction on scores because I always get it wrong.
I think it's really interesting because if we were playing a team that's doing really badly or one of the top teams, I think we'd feel quite confident in making a prediction.
Yeah.
Because one way or the other, whether we think we're going to win or lose. But it's so interesting that we're both in this weird space where these weird teams who perform in such a strange pattern, it's like either it's going to be an unstoppable object versus an immovable force, or it's going to be 2 cases of meh colliding.
I think it'd be a really good game. I think it'll be goals in it. I just don't know how many goals for each side. I just think it'll be a really good game because if you think about it, you've got Heller up front who's 6. He's going to start even if Antonio's fit. But then you got you got Mings who's taller than him, who's going to mark him, try and hopefully mark him, stop him, get him headers in, And then you're going to have Rice going to be busy, depending if Barkley's playing Barkley and Grealish as well. So it's going to be a real classy test, I think.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for like a proper duel, like 2 teams really going at it, and not a nasty game, but a gritty game where everyone gets stuck in.
I think if we win, we go above you, don't we?
Are you on 14 points? Oh, sorry,
I can't remember. When I win the league, I can't remember. I thought we were right next to each other. We're 8th. Maybe you're above us, actually.
Yeah, no, we are. We're 7th. We're 15 points.
Yes, see? So it will be quite interesting.
Yeah, 14 points you're on, yeah. So we played one less game, obviously, but I think it would be so interesting. Hopefully it's going to be a proper Monday night football as well. I know it's not the same without the fans, and obviously Monday night football going into a game is always the best, under the floodlights. But I think with David Moyes, I think he's a fantastic manager. I think he's so underestimated. I really do. I think he always has it difficult. I think he's got it difficult with Sullivan and Gold. I think they are. As a Villa fan, I know how they treated Birmingham City, for example. And as much as I don't like Birmingham City, I still look after them. I still think about Birmingham City. I don't want them to completely disappear.
You don't want anything to go under, do you?
No, of course not. And they left them in a real rubbish position. But I don't know. I think David Moyes has completely, and the way that you ended last season, you've come into this season is completely different. West Ham United, and I just think that hopefully it's going to be a fun game. But every time you say that, it's just I could have done the washing tonight or something like that sort of thing. Hopefully it's not going to be that sort of game. But.
Yeah. We've just had 2 of those, I think, with the Fulham and the Sheffield United game. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a bit more of a
I quite enjoyed the Sheffield United game. I thought it was quite a cagey little affair. But I thought we played some all right football. I don't think everyone was up to kind of their best, but I don't think
the first half was a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think we lacked a bit of flair, and a bit of a bit of creative spark in certain areas, and I think that's where we could do with Said, coming on. And he didn't even come on. Did he bought Lanzini
No.
instead, which I thought was quite
But
strange.
remember when we brought Bowen in, he didn't play the first however many games either. So
Five-
Moyes obviously
five
has a way
games,
of
yeah.
Moyes obviously has his way of easing people in. So I wouldn't worry about it too much at this stage. We'll see how we are in a couple of games' time. Gentlemen, I'm going to push you for a score and first goal scorer.
I'll go first because I already said it.
What?
I reckon it's
2-2.
going to be 2-2. I just got that feeling. I got that 2 vibe over it, like a real high intensity 2-2. And I think his first scorer will be, I think it'd be Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rice.
Wow.
Sam?
I'm terrible at doing score predictions.
Just copy me.
No one's going to punish you if you're wrong.
Or would they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say something and then you'd be like, oh, well, he's just been bigging up West Ham, and then he goes and says something silly like, some silly scoreline. But I don't know. It all depends on the Villa that turns up, personally. I know it's the same for West Ham as well, but I'm terrible at this. I'm going to say...
Follow your heart.
I want to say 3-1 to Villa. I know. I want to say 3-1 to Villa, and I want to say Ollie Watkins to score first.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hope not.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be
No,
like
but it's your team. That's what you want, isn't it? So.
Well, of course.
I'm going to go for a combination. I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to take the draw. I'm going to go for 3-3. Yes. And I think Fornals is going to score first.
Oh.
I'm expecting I'm expecting a really good game. So I reckon
it's going to be sending off as well. I think it's going to be sending off. I don't know who's going to be. I've got a feeling it's going to be sending off. I might put a bet on it.
You cut out there for me for a minute. So all I came back to was you going sending off and wiggling your shoulders. You reckon it's going to be a sending off? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I don't know who's going to be sent off, but I reckon it won't be like a malicious kind of. I think it'll be like a 2 yellow card thing, because I think there'll be a couple. There'll be a lot of
feisty
both
challenges.
managers will say win the first ball, and because they're both old school British managers, they're like win the first ball, and there'll be a few tackles going in.
Let them know you're there.
Yeah, and then I reckon in the game people will get tired, and I think there'll be a few legs sticking out, and I think someone will get.
To tell you what, I watched your last game against Sheffield United, and it was 0-0 at the time, and the ball went out for throwing, and I saw David Moyes already look ahead of where to throw the ball for the player, and he told him, right, you throw there, and he did it, and that's when you scored the goal. It was a few phases of play later, and you scored it, but it was all because of that throwing that you threw forward. I mean, I'm going to be wrong with 3-1. It's not going to be 3-1. It's going to be something completely different. But I think that you're so right when you say about David Moyes and Dean Smith. I think there is that. I hope there is a bit of fun to it. But I don't think there's anyone really malicious on our side that is like that. And I don't know who would be on your side.
I don't think it would be like an aggressive thing. I think it will be two teams trying to challenge to win the ball, and one will trip one over to try and get a tackle, and you'll get a yellow, and then later on one of them will get tired and just pull a shirt and get another yellow. One of them kind of thing. It won't be one of them aggressive kind of things. It'll be one of them kind of, they both want to win, so they're both going to show their dominance at the beginning of the game. Because I always remember this interview Declan Rice said, and he said his dad always said to him, always make sure you win the first ball, and then you'll have a good game. And that's what he always tries to do that. And I always like that. I like things like that. It sticks in my head. So I think that's why I got that kind of feeling. I think it'll be a tempo game. That's why I reckon I can see us sending off. And talking about Moyes though, I think as well quickly, I actually think to myself, I really underestimated him as well myself. I really didn't want Moyes back, and now how well he's doing and how we're playing as a unit. I think it's everything I've wanted in a West Ham side for such a long time.
We're in danger of going down a rabbit hole again, but whenever I think of Villa, I always think of those seasons where we were constantly looking up at Villa and Everton, both kind of knocking around 6th and 7th with Moyes and Martin O'Neill, and how well drilled those teams were. And that's always, whenever I think of Villa, that's the time in my life I kind of go back to, is that, I don't know, it would have been like 2008, 2009, maybe.
Yeah,
and just thinking like, that's that's the type of manager we needed.
Yeah, great.
Now we've got him.
Yeah, now we've got him. Under weird circumstances.
We've got our scores. We've got a sending off apparently. For a bit of fun, let's do our little match report, little feature that I stole from my own radio show. So couple of things I want to go through. So I want your person of the match. So it doesn't have to be football. Just who's your kind of hero of the moment. Who would you give a red card to if you could give one to anyone? And then what's your goal of the month? So something you've achieved this month or something you want to do this month. So Rob, I'm going to throw over to you first.
Bastard.
Give us your person of the match.
What do you mean person of the match in football?
Anyone in the world.
Marcus Rashford, hands down for me. I'm absolutely loving Rashford, what he's doing for people, and I wish more modern footballers were like him. You know, I don't. There probably is footballers out there that do a lot of things, and I don't want the praise.
Yeah.
But he's doing something. He's actually gone up against, you know, the British government some of the time,
and the press as well.
And the press, and you know, you saw all the articles about him buying all them houses as he, you know, and you just think to yourself, you know, they're trying to find fault in him somewhere, and I hate that, you know. But things he's doing,
handled himself so well, isn't he? As well, like he's not argued back. He's not allowed it to turn into a conflict. He's just been kind of calm. I think he should be really proud of himself as
even on
a young
his
man doing
see him
that.
talking about it. He's like, you know, you went like rush, like a little small team come through and say, look, we'll feed him. He's like, go there, go to this site, and he'll like shout them out. No, you know what I mean? I love that, and he's getting this whole community feel going. It's, you know, in the time where there's a lot of separation because no one can see each other. I really, really love that, and I'd love him at West Ham, just because he's a great player as well.
and Sam, your man of the match or person of the match?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go football, but I'm thinking more outside the box. I think, you know, I don't want to make it political, but I think it has to be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Finally, that we can see hopefully some kind of light around the world. Actually, you know, the most important thing is actually everyone has a really decent life. I just think under people like, I'm not going to say his name, but people like him that used to run America, I just think it was all crap. Really,
the slug, the slug man.
Yeah, it's too much, you know. And the thing is, he's completely lost all kind of respect because, you know, every single president that has been has always welcomed. Even Barack Obama had to welcome him into the White House, and he still can't do that to Joe Biden. I think it's a bit of a joke, but I think hopefully this means the turning point, and it has a knock-on effect over here as well because
it massively does. Yeah,
you know, it really does. So I think it's always a positive to think about that.
So spread the healing around the world, starting with America. And easing out. Yeah, no, I
it's such an influential, you know, country that everyone watches all the time. You know what I mean? So it'll hopefully have a positive effect to everyone. You know,
definitely. On TV. So Rob, red card. Who would you give a red card to?
Mate, there's so many of them. It's unreal. I was going to say Trump for my red card, but you just said that.
He's already got one. So
yeah, he's already got one. So I'm still going to say Trump. It's a red card. He's got to get out of there. He's got to walk down that tunnel and leave that, and walk out that door, mate.
Or get dragged out.
Yeah, or dragged out. I don't care. Get the police come in to both sides. I'd love that.
Oh, I would. Make a film out of it. They can make like a Hollywood blockbuster on that.
Yeah.
With his wig flapping off.
I'll put prosthetics on and beat him for it.
That'd be hilarious. I'd love to watch that.
He's definitely my red card. He is.
Fantastic. And Sam, your red card?
Okay, well, I'll go to football with red card. I'm going to go with. I love marching out together, you know, and but it has to be Bamford. Honestly, I can't stand the player. I think
Who? Sorry,
Bamford.
Oh.
Honestly, I don't know what it is. He's just. Look, he's a player. He can play. He can kick a ball. He's got a great ability at kicking the ball, you know. But I think his persona and his actual decorum that he has as a player is just so crap. I just can't stand the player. Sorry.
Fair enough. No, it's your choice. You pick
Yeah.
what for whatever the reason is. Your reasons are your own. Okay, finally to finish on a positive.
Jim, can I change my red card? I want to put my red card as your internet.
Hopefully my mesh arrives soon and I can get over
I really
this.
hope they're just sending you some wire meshing. You've got to a builder supplier or something.
Mate, it's expensive fucking wire meshing if it is.
I know.
Okay, so in the end on a positive note, goal of the month. So what have you achieved this month or would you like to achieve this month? What's your positive contribution you want to put out into the world? Robbie, you can start.
So me personally,
Yeah.
oh my god!
It doesn't have to be massive, by the way. I'm not expecting you to run a marathon.
Well, I passed my exam at work to be a quality work coach and a team leader. Does that count? I feel quite good about that.
If that's what you feel good about, mate. If that's what you feel good about,
well,
then excellent.
Jim, you know me. I'm dyslexic. You know, I've always struggled with education and stuff like that. So for me to pass something, wow, I can pass gas.
There you go.
Well.
Congratulations to you, sir. And Sam, is there anything big you want to, or not big or small, anything that you feel like you have achieved this month or you are aiming for?
Do you know something? I think this year has completely fried my brain because I can't remember what happened yesterday. But I think this week will be Villa and Proud's second anniversary on the 28th, and we've been working really hard with, we have a fantastic team at Villa and Proud, and the committee have designed a brand new website. We've never had a website before, so we're going to be launching a really cool website that provides a great platform for the whole of the LGBTQ plus community at Aston Villa and football fans, along with all the great allies that we have at the club, to just sort of click on there and find out what's coming up in events and how they can participate and it's going to be a really cool website.
Fantastic.
Awesome. And to finish off, I was actually going to say, have you got anything you want to share in terms of your social medias and stuff? But obviously, everyone check out the Villa and Proud website. But if people want to find Villa and Proud and yourself on the socials, how would they do that? Yeah,
so we're on we live in a world now where you can just type in Villa and Proud onto Google, but we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Still trying to figure out Facebook. I think it's so difficult to try and have a platform on Facebook. But Facebook, we're on those three. And then hopefully build some videos through YouTube. But yeah, can't too much. But yeah, those three platforms. Yeah. But also another thing I will say is that you blanked me then. Another thing I will say is that obviously we're gonna be having a great pre-match social with Pride Wines, which will be happening on Monday nights. So at least we can all have a drink on we could have it on Saturday or Sunday. I get that, but we have a pre-match social that we have. That just means that we can all be at that sort of because this season's been so difficult, and for every single person, it's not just the LGBT support groups and that. It's just fans just actually what makes the sport even better is that hopefully we can try and prove that fans of both clubs can just enjoy the company of one another and then go to a game and support the team they like and just never have this sort of animosity about another club. And I think that's what the likes of yourselves and other groups is that I think we can create that platform to showcase that fans can actually just come together and have a chat and have a really cool time. So
yeah, I agree.
And then after the match, we can fight it out. And Rob, just a reminder, everyone, if they want to find you on social media.
I have absolutely no internet presence whatsoever. I'm in hiding. No, I'm Zombish. I'm Zombish on Twitter. You can find me there.
You're not your ex-Zombish X on Twitter because I checked.
Tell anyone. I don't think you can find Zombish is on there. Surely, if you type Zombish in, there can't be that many people.
There's another Zombish. And yeah, if you want to find me, I'm at Beef and Teeth on both Instagram and Twitter. Obviously, check out the Pride of Irons links and Villa and Proud. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining me this week. Thank you, Rob. Yay. Thank you, Sam. And good luck for the rest of the season, but just not for the next game. Come on, you words.
What you want?